You're listening to the Breakaway Wealth Podcast, the show that helps you build wealth faster, think outside the box, and break out of the herd. Here's your host, Jim Oliver.
Welcome back, Breakaway Wealth. I'm your host, Jim Oliver, and with me today, my co-host, Nick Costco. Welcome, Nick.
Hey, it's always a pleasure to be here having a conversation. And, we just never know where these conversations are going to go. But I think we're going to kind of dig into a little, just personal exploration and how do we have impact and where do we start with all that?
Yeah, I love that, Nick. We've talked about before, actually quite a bit about vision.
Yeah.
But your vision is really tied to your purpose, right? And what are your goals? So you asked the question, okay, if we're talking about Create Tailwind, who is Create Tailwind? So what is our purpose? So I think that maybe that's one thing that gets lost in people when they're talking about their vision is what's their purpose? What's their unique ability? What are their goals? Those are things that I think people think that they write them down and they're like in blood, right? You write them down and, hey, I have to have this goal setting session and everything that I say has to be coherent and it's going to be there permanently. And these are my long-term goals and they're going to stay that way. And they're static. They're not fluid. But anybody that's seen my wall over here, if they saw it 1 week and then they saw it in a month, you probably, we'd realize I can't spell compromise. That's one thing I just noticed.
Because you wrote it at 2:30 in the morning.
Probably, yeah. But my point is that it changes, right?
Yeah.
And you can't be afraid of that.
Yeah, it's. I think you just hit the nail on the head. You can't be afraid of that. You can't be afraid of the self-discovery. What I want now as an almost 48-year-old, what my vision is totally different than the one I had 20 years ago because I've become a sum of all these experiences that we've had in our lives.
Now, which one of your girls is my favorite who thought I was the same age as you?
I don't know which one. They both sound like they could be guilty of that type of thing.
I think it was Katie, but it could have been Leah. And I said, you're my favorite. And I'll tell you what, that did not set well with Moose. He did not hey, I'm the favorite. I just want you to know that's the way it's going to be.
That's so
anyway,
funny.
All right. So this vision sometimes is fluid. Your purpose probably isn't that fluid, right? If it was an airplane, it wouldn't get off track very much, right? It'd be more like a railroad track than an airplane path. But then creating the plan. And again, I think people think that the plan has to be, it has to be like step by step from beginning to completion. And it doesn't. It just has to get you going.
Yeah, you just have to take a step to it, right? What do we say? What do they say? If you take a step towards God, he'll come running to you. I just think about that, that visualization. Just take one step.
Yeah.
Then things become clear. So I don't know if anybody's ever done this before. When we're driving in fog, right? You're actually below the bulk of it. Okay. But when you're in an airplane and you're coming into land, you're actually looking down through fog at an angle. Okay. And I can't remember the percent difference, but it's something I don't know, 100%, 200% more dense looking at it that way. You really can't see in front of you. Right.
Yeah.
But as you go, it's people don't realize this. You're coming into land and you're looking for one little light down there by the runway. And once you see the light, once you see one light, you can go down another 50 feet or 100 feet. I mean, there's all these rules to it, but and I won't get into it. But you're taking one more step, right? I can't see where I'm going to get off the runway in the fog when I'm 200 feet off the ground doing 170 miles an hour.
Yeah, right.
It's just one step, one more. You touch down. I might only be able to see 200 feet in front of me on the runway. Again, you're doing 125 miles an hour and trying to keep this 250,000-pound machine on the center line.
Right? So yeah, I like that because what you're talking about is really a step Because I think you have this vision, then you have this plan, right? And then in the cockpit with you, you have a team, right? You have a team. If you were flying passengers, you'd have a team in the passenger area, your flight attendants, etc.
Right.
You'd have your captain, you have your co-captain, but what you're talking about is kind of milestones, right? Is, hey, I see the light. Hey, I'm trying to, again, I use this one a lot because it's just simple and everybody can kind of understand it. I'm either trying to gain muscle or I'm losing weight. Okay, well, I mean, the milestone is I check the scale, right? Hey, a milestone is I was 220 pounds and I'm 218 pounds, right? Like, oh, there's a milestone. Boom, I clicked. Or maybe it's your 5 pounds each milestone and you're making progress, right? So that's monitoring progress. And then in your mind, you have to have that. Is it 2 pounds is the milestone? Is it 5 pounds? And you got to decide that how you are going to measure those milestones. And that's all part of execution. And I think that this is when you said, when you said like just taking that first step. Yeah, for some reason, the reason I stuttered there is it just reminds me when I was 22 years old and I'm moving to Louisville, Louisville, in Colorado. Okay, it's right outside of Boulder, Colorado. It's a beautiful little town. It used to be a little town. Now it's not a little town anymore. And it was really had a main street, and it was kind of like being a kid from LA. I'd never lived in a little area like that. It was really cool, but I was going to rent this house, right? I was just getting started out. Another kid on the way, and we're going to rent this house, and I'm looking for the owner of the house. There's a guy painting up there, and he's got long hair and a long beard, and he's all scraggly, and he's got ripped jeans and a t-shirt. I said, hey, you know where the owner is? And he says, I'm the owner. So I start talking to this guy, and he has all this real estate in Louisville, Boulder, Lafayette, Colorado. And I said, man, I'm looking for advice. I'm looking for people. This guy knows who he is, what he wants to do. He's like, man, I like to take care of the house. I like to do the painting. I like to do this kind of stuff. And so I said, hey, what advice would you have for me to because, I don't know what I'm doing in my life. Like this is, I'm 22. I don't know. I'd say something. I was going to say something that wasn't going to sound right, but I didn't know anything about what I was doing. Right. I knew I wanted money. That's all I knew. And so he said to me, it's kind of like this, is you're standing on the shore of a river. And on the other side of the river is what you want. So that's your vision, right? You want what's on the other side of that river. And then you just stand there and look at it because there's a river in the way. Yeah. And that's what most people do their whole lives. They just stand there and they go, man, I wish I had that. There's no bridge. There's no way to just walk across there easily and get what I want. And he said, well, the trick is, and the secret is you jump in. The reason people don't jump in is they think I'm going to drown. Yeah. But the secret is you won't let yourself drown, right? You might panic a little bit. You might struggle, but you'll get to the other side. Once you're to the other side, you turn around and you look and you go, hey, it wasn't that hard. All you got to do is this. And people go, no, I'm not jumping in there. Where's the bridge? Could you build a bridge back to me?
Sure.
And so that's part of that execution and monitoring is also, if you're swimming across a river, just a pro tip, is don't try to swim straight across. Let yourself go downstream, right? Be okay with that journey of downstream. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is that what's on the other side evolves, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought I just wanted to be a captain of a 747 and fly around the world for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
I got to do that. And I was like, yeah, that's okay, but I can't really impact lives the way I want to. Like it doesn't feed my DNA, right? And so it's evolved. And I think if you can there's this little sign here in our office, and there's a joke about this. There's these little 3x5 cards around our office here. Okay. There's a couple thousand square feet, Jim, and there's 5 or 6 of these. And whoever placed them, it's a mystery. Everybody thought it was me, but it's not. And whoever placed them is not fessing up yet. But one of them says you can't have faith and worry at the same time in your mind. You have to choose one.
I think I saw that.
Yeah, I texted you a picture of it one day. And so it's like, hey, I have faith. I can't worry about getting to the other side of the river. What I have to have is faith that if I jump in the water, I won't drown. And you know what? I might drift down the river and I might get off. And you know what? That might not be the only river I ever swim across in my life.
Yeah.
Right? Like I think about my life before I was married. Then there was that season before we had kids. And now there's that season when we had 4 under or 6 and under, which sounds like we were really drowning then. Like if you told me I wasn't drowning then, I might have yelled back because it sure as heck seemed like we were drowning. And now they're in between 8 and 15, and it's a whole different thing. We live in a place that I didn't know existed. And I had no idea that my oldest would be taller than me, you know, and we would be out chopping trees down and doing all kinds of stuff yesterday, preparing for deer season. So it's, you cast, and I think that you do have to have something that you're living for. And in our devotional today, I wound up typing out, hey, this is what my vision is, and is just have a family that multiplies and lives their lives through the lens of the Bible. So that's got to be like the metric that we have to measure everything to, right? Discover your unique ability, and then figure out how to go serve people abundantly in all that we do. And it never resonates with me, Jim. And maybe, you've got a little more experience with this, but like people will say it's just business.
Yeah.
That doesn't resonate with me. And I know you've heard me say that before. And it's so cliche-ish. It's such a fabric of our culture here that, you'll get somebody, they just want to be an absolute a-hole hammer and say, well, it's just business. And I don't separate business from pleasure very well, because I don't think that that's what happened in the Bible. Like, what's your 2 cents on that, living day to day?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. There's no such. Yeah, it's somebody asked me the other day, Nick. They said, "Well, why are you still working?" And I was like, "Because it's not work to me. Like it's. I never really felt like I've worked in the last whatever number of years, because I like helping people. I like serving people. And if I wasn't doing this, then I'd be serving people in some other way. So like, it's just business. That doesn't resonate with me either, because when again, our devotional, we had this vision today, and it's like the vision, my personal vision is the same as the Create Tailwind vision, as far as the big picture, which is we want to impact billions of people, right? And so I want to impact billions of people. You want to impact billions of people. We together want to impact billions of people. So if we were sitting here 5 years from today, by the way, this is a great way to create a vision, which we've talked about before, the R factor question. If we were sitting here 5 years from today, looking back through all of the days back to today, what are all of the things that have to have happened for us to be happy with our progress? Well, we're creating what we have, and then you do it in first person, like we've talked about before. So in 5 years, we'll be impacting billions of people. So what's the first thing that, and I'm sorry if I maybe got off track. I think I answered your question, but now I kind of went off the rails a little bit.
Hey, we're drifting down the river. It's all good.
But like, Nick, when I say that, I think hey, you know what? We need some team members. You and I can't do all that by ourselves.
The ripple effect.
We need a team, right? So we are right now in a season of looking for people to get on the bus. We've gotten a few people that were bad eggs off the bus, not find another seat for them. We found out that they shouldn't even be on the bus. They shouldn't even be on the same highway. Right. And you know what? That's a learning experience that sometimes is a painful one, but it's a good one, because now we can actually shift gears and go faster, and we have room on the bus. We see where the holes are. So our team members are so amazing. But like, some of those questions, like some of the questions, like I think that some of the value in some of the exercises is, what questions do you ask yourself? What do you believe in? You said in your devotional today that through the lens of the Bible, right? And everybody knows, or if you don't know, we use that a lot. We borrowed it, we modeled it from Nelson, who would talk about in his seminar, hey, everything I'm going to teach you today is through the lens of this book. So he lived his life through the lens of this book. Nick is saying, hey, I want my family to live their lives and their growth through the lens of that book, right? Which is more than a book, but that's, if you don't know that, then send us an email and we'll help you with that. But it's like, what do you believe in? What brings you joy?
Yeah.
And happiness, right? Like and then what do you want to be? Who do you want to become? So like, if you just ask yourself those three questions, and I'm not saying the answers are easy, that'll help you create your vision, right?
So it's funny. It was about 6 years ago, Jim. I met a guy at a Buffini conference that wanted to become we became fast friends.
Yeah.
And he was telling me this story, and he said he had this new personal assistant. He was running around like a Tasmanian devil doing this and that. And he was sitting there, and the two of them together were working on a little task. And he said, listen, I want you to know, we hadn't worked together that long. There was very little relational capital to expend on either front.
Yeah.
And he said, this woman really stepped out. A lot of courage to say this to him. She looked up at him and said, Thomas, you're not being the man God intended you to be. And this was a guy whose dad read the Bible cover to cover every day or every year. He had a copy. He had his dad's Bible, who had since passed away, like his most treasured thing. And so he really wanted to say that he was living his life in a godly way. And when she said that, she didn't realize that she was taking a huge, like, Roman saber and just driving it through him. Yeah. And when he said that, I wrote that on my board that day. Be the man God intended you to be. Yeah. I didn't even know what the heck that meant, but I was like, that sounds pretty good. So let's go exploring that. And I think to that point, it's, hey, go explore that. Don't be afraid to go figure out what it is you want to do, that person you want to be. If someone says, hey, who is Jim Oliver? Yeah. Can you answer that? It's okay to not be able to answer it in totality yet, or to give some answer. But like, I always appreciate what you say, Jim. You're like, hey, I'm 59, but I'm halfway. Yeah. Right. We're still evolving, right? Yeah. These experiences that we have today are going to shape us for the future. Right. And we have a choice what we do with that. Right. Yeah. All these experiences can get us to turn to the darkness, or they can get us to turn to the light. Yeah. We get a choice.
You just said something, because, when I think about my vision and I think about like my purpose and my values, I think about financial independence and lifelong learning, and not really so much my financial independence, but teaching other people financial independence. So if it was those two things, financial independence, lifelong learning, and freedom, right? Understanding what freedom means. Yeah. Then if I said, hey, in 10 years, I own enough cash flowing assets to bring in millions of dollars a year, giving me time to mentor others in financial literacy and coaching people how to have the same thing, so that they can impact the things that are important in their lives, whether it's the kingdom, whether it's their church, synagogue, whether it's a charity, whatever it is. And then, like that's aligning my purpose and my values with my vision. And I think that, when you make it like tangible and vivid, if you wake up every morning with a purpose, knowing that your passive income covers your needs and the needs of others, meaning that you get to be charitable and giving, right? Then you spend your time traveling, learning, mentoring people how to create wealth, with the infinite banking concept, because if you're going to do that, you got to control the banking function.
Yeah.
And then, like, this seems so simple, man, but you like, hey, in 1 year, I've said this, but I got to find somebody to go with me because I don't want to just be in Greece by myself. But, like, I want to spend a month in Greece or the Amalfi Coast next year working from there. Right. And so what about in 3 years? How about in 5 years?
Right.
So in 5 years, I want to have 5x what I need for my living expenses so I can impact the kingdom, whatever those things are for you as far as vivid. But if you won't dream those dreams, if you won't put down that vision, if you won't think big,
well,
then it's, hey, man, all I want is be able to pay my bills. And I hate that. That's just that reminds me of my neighborhood where I grew up. And it's just like, that scarcity thinking will destroy you.
I love one of our teammates here who's new to our team, a young guy who's I'm just really impressed that he's where he is in his life already in his late 20s. But he wrote this down. I don't know if he shared this with you yet, but he said, when people ask him what he does, he says, I teach people the truth about money and empower them to step out of slavery and into abundance.
Love it.
And I just love, like, my pastor jokingly calls me a veritas guy, truth guy. Like, I just want to know the truth.
Yeah.
Right. You and I have been bantering back and forth about a new subject. And the reason that I'm particularly enthralled about it is because there's something that I thought was true that's turning out to not be the entire truth.
That's weird.
And that's my entire attraction to this new subject matter. And why I'm like driving to the end of the internet to find all I can about it to decide whether or not this is for me or not for me.
Yeah.
And so it's slavery. Like, all these messages are cloaked in really fancy marketing words, and they're just leading you into slavery. And I'll give you just a quick example of how you can recognize things is, marketing leads with emotion. Okay. Then they follow with logic, and the more emotion that's used, the less logic needs to be used.
Yeah.
So when we're looking for the truth, when we're trying to do self-discovery, right? Because those words that we use, you said use these things in the first person, right?
Yep.
Like, we have to use really important words too. The marketing between our ears for ourselves and our vision, right? To bring that all back is, hey, we have to use matter of fact words, empowering words to us. I am this, not I will try to be. No, that leaves failure as an option.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to land this jet right there. Watch this. Hold my beer. Watch this. I'll do it. Right. Yeah. It's like hope. I'm not hoping that I land the jet on the runway. I'm going home to dinner, by the way.
Yeah. So, you said something there that, it breaks down, right? It breaks down into, like your vision, your purpose, right? And like aligning your life with that purpose creates the vision, right? And then, your values, your desirable outcome becomes the vision. And then it's actionable goals, and it's not static. It's, they evolve with new experiences, lessons, changes in priority. You talked about that. Regular reflection, make sure that you're going, again, that's kind of like adjusting your flight path. And then your habits. And so, like, the last thing you said, right, is I go back to my habits. So, like, this morning, our power's been going off and on ever since the hurricane. And I didn't work out yesterday, which I was supposed to do pull workout. And I just didn't sleep very good the night before. This morning was going to be a day off. So I get up this morning, I go to the gym, and I just start, right? Mm-hmm. It's just a habit. It's just starting that workout. I mean, I'm not going to leave once I start it, but man, I might not go. I might not get in the car and drive to the gym. But once I'm there, It doesn't matter if it's crowded. I might get like, oh my gosh, it's crowded. I hate when it's crowded like this. I might get like that, but you know what? I just find my little spot, do the exercises, adjust if I need to adjust, but I get the workout done. Because when I do the workout, guess what? I feel better. And when I feel better, guess what? Then I can go and I can help other people more. I have a better day. My mindset, my mental health is better for that day. And so, you know, if I look back over this last 20 minutes, is that a lot of information? Is it a little bit scattered? It's the message is in the beginning, okay? But there's a lot of input to it because it's not static. It is a little scattered, and we don't know what's going to work for you. So figure out though what you want. That's again, start with why. Like, I know that's such a cliche, but
yeah, I mean, here's the thing. You and I joke all the time. We've done a lot of personal development coaching, have people, and I'll joke with my business coach, Kristen, and I'll say, you know what, Kristen, we've been meeting for 50 minutes today. We got to the 48th minute and you finally said something that's going to be my takeaway for today. It's like one thing. So find that one thing in here, wherever you are on this journey, wherever you are in this personal reflection and figuring out where you want to go, and do something with it. Be an action taker, and do something with it. And we're here rooting for you. Keep listening, keep exploring, keep finding the truth about yourself. And that's what I got today, Jim. You got any final words?
No, that's it. That's sounds like a great place to hand it off to Earl and the Strangest Secret. So thank you, Nick, for being here. And thank you all for listening. And if you have any questions, then send us a message on the community.createtailwind.com, and we'd be happy to help you. And if you have any specific needs where we can help you with your vision or exercise or anything like that, we're here to help. So thank you all. Godspeed, and take it away, Earl.
Here's the key to success and the key to failure. We become what we think about. Now let me say that again. We become what we think about.
Thanks for listening to the Breakaway Wealth Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to this show wherever you're listening so you never miss an episode. If you want to start increasing your wealth building ability right now, go to community.createtailwind.com to join our free online community and get access to free, in-depth training designed to help you build real, lasting wealth. See you next week.